Today we are joined by video expert. She has been in the TV and video industry for over 20 years, tons of experience. I found her on TikTok where she actually will give you some amazing tips on TikTok in less than 60 seconds. Look, if you want to step up your video game for your company, this is the episode for you. Virginia Kerr, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure to have you here because once again, a lot of stuff I see on TikTok and on Instagram is just very fluffy. There's not a lot of real content there, but I feel like when I watch one of your TikTok videos, I can walk away with like, okay, this is something I can actually execute on. So I want to start my questioning here. You've seen video evolve a lot over the years. What made you decide to get involved with creating content on TikTok and on Instagram?
It really started off as me just playing. I left the television industry a couple of years ago, maybe it was a few years ago, and I missed it. And I didn't know why I wasn't using it on social media. I got curious about TikTok. I'll be honest, I have a channel that's all fluff on TikTok. That was my first one. And I did all the lip dubs, and I attempted to do a TikTok dance that lasted one day. So I would do like a lot of the lip dubs, and then it started to morph into me creating my own scripts, and I had these reoccurring characters, and it was all skits. Mm-hmm. And then I realized this is a waste of my time if I'm trying to build my audience and community to promote my business. And I started a new account. And that's the one you fell upon.
Yeah. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It's being true to yourself. Too many people go onto a platform like TikTok, like, oh, I got to hop on the newest trend and I got to do this, I got to do that. But I think staying true to yourself and to your company and to your business is probably one of the most important things you can do because people resonate with real recognize real. So I want to talk a little bit more about getting started, your coaching and whatnot. So again, you've been in the TV production business for a long time, many years, just helping produce major TV shows, news station performances. What made you decide, hey, people actually need to hear what I need to say. I'm going to start coaching. I'm doing this one-on-one coaching. I'm launching my new course, which is, you can find it, thisisvirginiakerr.com. What made you decide to start helping people and businesses?
I was having so much fun with it, and I knew that video was I call it the Viagra of your marketing. It will get someone to trust you 10 times faster than any other type of content out there. And I know it overwhelms people. I know it's scary. Even being in television for as long as I was still scared to post my first video story on Instagram, which was only a year ago, just over a year ago. Yes. And so I started having fun with it. I started getting a lot of questions from people. And like I said, when I was playing on TikTok, I was already doing coaching on Instagram. That was my primary place to be when it came to marketing my coaching business. But I saw this as an opportunity to really reach people who were already using video instead of having to convince them to use video. And I just started to have fun with it. And so then what I did was that quirky fluff version I had, that first account, I started to marry that with the educational. So it's the edutainment type of video that I really like to produce.
Love that. And I think that's really smart too, is going to where your clients are. Right. I know that when I first started on TikTok, I was creating a bunch of content for fathers, but then I quickly realized that not a lot of fathers there, and the fathers that are there are not really interested in fatherhood. They're interested in other things like sports and women and what have you, which was not my core competency. So being true to your core competency is important. So I want to kind of break it down for everyone out there that's just beginning in video. They're like, wow, this makes sense to me. I absolutely need to be executing on video. What are the top 3 things that someone should think about when just getting started? They haven't even recorded their first Instagram story. What are the top 3 things someone should think about?
When it comes to content, you need to first start with, what do you want to teach people? And it needs to be something that you know something about. You don't want to fake it. You want to actually set yourself up as an expert in an industry or, an area of information that you know something about. So start with that. And you're going to be much more confident talking about things that you know something about. When it comes to the big mistakes people make is they talk too long, or they try to introduce themselves way too long and too often. I never introduce myself. I figure if I can't get your attention so that you want to go see who I am, you're not going to watch my video anyway. And they don't look at the camera, and they try to talk to the masses instead of talking to one person. I tell people, think of the camera as your best friend, and you're just FaceTiming, and you're telling them something that you're excited about because you know it's going to change and help them in some way.
Wow, so that was like probably 10 tips
Oh, sorry.
in 60 seconds. So that is fantastic. That is fantastic. And I think that is definitely one of the biggest mistakes people make is spending the first, let's say, quarter of their video just trying to say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Mark. It's nice to see you. This is what I do." And so I think this is something that you can really focus on with your actual profile. You don't need to introduce yourself. You need to capture someone's attention quickly because let's face it, in an age of social media, you do not have much time. So capture the attention and then let your profile do the introduction, the explanation about you. I think that's the way that I look at it. Hey, Mark here. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let YouTube know you're enjoying this video. Let me know you're enjoying this video. All right, let's get back into this episode. So let's talk a little bit about, Virginia, how we can capture someone's attention. How can I capture someone's attention in less than 5 seconds with video? What can I do?
You grab their attention by telling them how you're going to help them. That solution hook right out of the gate. You give them a promise, this is going to help you, and then you deliver on it. I mean, I just think even saying, "Hey, what's up, TikTok?" I hear that a lot. Or "Stop your scroll." That may have worked for the first 500,000 people who tried that, but you need to tell them what they're going to get, or they're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Swiping.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there a lot. So another thing that I've noticed in your videos, Virginia, and again, you got over 250,000 followers on 2 TikTok channels, which is very, very impressive. One of the things that I've noticed that you do in your videos is it's not just really you speaking to a camera in for 60 seconds straight. You're kind of having like changing of scenes, right? So talk to me a bit about that. How important is it that you're changing the number of scenes in your videos, and how often should we be doing that?
I use what's called the pattern interrupt. And the pattern interrupt can be a change of framing. It can be a change of location. It can be a change of clothes. Like I said, I like to incorporate little characters. So I'll tell you what not to do, and then my character will do all the wrong things. And so that's a pattern interrupt. Sound effects are a pattern interrupt. A transition is a pattern interrupt. Anything that can keep the viewer moving forward with your videos so that they want to continue to watch. Text bubbles are also a pattern interrupt. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make, though, is they'll either overuse the pattern interrupts or they don't use them effectively. For instance, a text bubble. If you put all the text up at once or multiple text bubbles up at once, that's clutter. And that confuses the person. And if you're not clear about what they're getting, they swipe. So you want to use it effectively, but less is more, meaning fewer words in your text bubble, and then edit them to the next scene, or maybe the next edit is a better way to say it, or the next sentence. That's why I do that. As far as how often you should do it, it depends on your style. My style is it's not what I would recommend everybody do. I think it depends on your personality, your brand. But I do think that if you can edit your sentences very tightly, which is also going to help you with, having a shorter amount of time. And on TikTok, on any of these, we want, that watch time to go up, and it's going to go up if it's a shorter video and people are likely to get through the whole thing. So tighten your sentences. And then a really easy way to get that pattern interrupt is you can change the frame every time you do an edit, meaning you can zoom in or you can zoom out. Another hack is I will record each sentence separately, or maybe not a sentence, but each thought separately. And that way I've got different framing. Maybe I do a wide shot, medium shot, close-up shot. Just I have options when it's time to edit. I don't edit inside the app, by the way. So
okay.
That can,
Yeah. So I want to talk about that a little bit, but I just want to kind of highlight one of the things you said. A lot of really, I think, important stuff there with the pattern interrupts. But one of the problems I think that you can fall into when you're just starting this kind of message vlog style one-on-one type of conversation is that you think that you need to have a 60-second monologue that's perfect. But when you're using the pattern interrupts, when you're breaking down your videos into 5-second segments, it's a lot easier for you to be thoughtful with your words and be more poignant with your words. So listen, you don't need to go for 60 seconds straight, right? Just break it down into 5-second segments. So let's talk a little bit about that, right? you're creating videos not inside the app on the fly, right? You're not just going to Instagram and recording a quick video. You're not doing that in TikTok. How are you actually going through this process? So you're sitting at home. I assume that you're batching your video production. You have a strategy to it. But let's start with this, Virginia. If I'm getting started with video, I don't have a lot of video editing experience. What's a good way for me to get started outside of an app creating video experiences?
I'm not saying you shouldn't edit inside the app. I think a lot of people have learned editing from TikTok
Sure.
and now Reels, although Reels is a little clunky right now. So I tell my clients, let's just edit outside of the app because Reels is a little glitchy. Yeah. TikTok is a little smoother ride right now. But I would suggest you get an app that's very basic, like Video Shop. It's a very basic app, and it's simply going to allow you to marry separate clips. So if you're going to edit or shoot, I should say, if you're going to shoot a video like we just described, where you do it in different segments instead of one long minute, one take, then you throw all of those into Video Shop and immediately it's all married together as one video. And then you can go in and trim so that you can get those really tight edits with your sentences like we talked about. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, in one of the biggest challenges, again, for someone that's just getting into video editing, that's never edited video before, I think that's a really, really sound piece of advice, Virginia. You could start in the app. That's fine. Start getting the app, playing with it. Something like TikTok is pretty comprehensive in what you can do. Instagram has some different features, but the key here is don't think that you have to do everything all at once. Stop comparing yourself to professionals like Virginia. The best thing to do is start by just doing something and then make your next episode a little bit better. Your next video a little bit better. Don't think that you have to do all the filters and the apps, the add-ons at once. Just one at a time.
And less is more, honestly. I have students or clients who they come in and they want to do what I'm doing, and then they put so many sound effects and so many transitions, and it's like I feel like I went through a tornado. I have no idea what you just told me. So you really just need to get your face on camera and start somewhere. I didn't start there. I mean, you can go back and look at my first videos on my TikTok accounts and even on Instagram. And even for me, who's been doing it for so long, it was a big learning process for me because, like you said at the very beginning, video has changed dramatically over the years, and people's attention spans continue to shrink.
Right. And every platform is different too. Your messaging on LinkedIn has got to be a little bit different than your messaging on TikTok or Instagram or on Twitter. Every being native to the platform is important. Although yes. I have found that at least a lot of the video content that we're getting from the show, the After Hours Entrepreneur, it tends to do pretty well on each platform. So I want to talk a little bit more about strategy. And again, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg here with Virginia. If you want to go deeper, you need to go deeper. This is virginiakerr.com. Link below. Go step up your video game. Okay, not video games, but your game on video. You know what I mean. You guys got it here. Okay, so Virginia, I want to talk a little bit about strategy. We've talked a little bit about how you can create some decent videos. You're starting off, you're making a good intro, you've got your pattern interrupts, you've got your basic editing down. But now I got to decide, now I've got that, what am I actually going to shoot video about? As a business owner here, let's say I own a pizzeria, what can I actually make video content about? What's like a good strategy framework?
As a pizzeria, that's going to be something where you want to get them in there. And so you want to show something that's going to entertain them a little bit, to, make them smile. And you can teach them too. So I do a little bit of both with that. I do a little bit of entertainment and a little bit of how to, because I want, like you said at the beginning, I want them to feel like when they watch the video, they've learned something. And go back through all of the questions you've ever been asked about your product, about your business. And that is a great place to start. Write all those down. Make that, start a notepad or a note app where you've got a content bank, just a never-ending list, and questions that you get currently, questions that you've got in the past, compliments that, people have given you on certain things. They probably want to know how you did that thing. How do you get your pizza to, get so thick? You give them a little tip. And that's going to make them feel like they're getting something from you, no matter what your industry is. If they're not in the market for it right then, at least you're giving them a reason to continue to come back to your account, your platform, so that they continue to build that trust with you. And when it's time for them to go purchase a pizza, you are the person they think of first.
Top of mind, because not only are you entertaining, but you're also educating. So do you think that's important that you do both in each video, or do you think it's a good idea to maybe at the beginning of the month or beginning of the week, kind of get an idea of what your calendar is going to look like, what your schedule is going to look like for video content? Or is it better just to go off the fly and just go for it? What do you think? What would you suggest to someone starting out?
I think everybody's different. I think that people who want to plan the entire month, I am super impressed with that. I am not that person. But when you know what your content categories are, when you've got that list and you've got the ideal person, and you're not going to figure out who exactly that is right from the get-go, but as you continue to get those questions I was talking about, you continue to really get a better idea of who your audience is. And your audience, or your ideal person, I should say, doesn't just want one thing from you. For instance, my ideal client doesn't just want video tips. She wants to be confident. She wants to know how to edit. She also wants to know how she can, like you asked me, batch content so that she's saving time. She also has insecurities, and I've got a lot of lessons of things that, for mistakes I've made. So I share personal stories so that I can teach them through my past and my stories. So when you figure out who you're talking to and you realize all of the different categories, which I recommend you have 5 to 12, you can have as many as you want. Now you've got a starting place, and you can go to your calendar, whether you want to do it 30 days, a week, 3 days, and you can at least start with the very basic, simple topic of one category and say, okay, how to edit. That's going to be this category that day. So at least I know that's what I'm talking about that day. Then I can come back to it and figure out the angle, or I can write it down right then. So go ahead and figure out what your topics are, the angle, what you want to help your ideal person with. Then you go a step further and you come up with your bullet points. I never recommend you script because you don't want to sound like a robot, but you should always plan your videos. I find when people have that aha moment of, oh, if I plan it and I have structure to my video, now I feel like I can get on camera and do this. This is not as scary because you know what you're going to be saying and you know who you're talking to.
So do you think it's better, let's say in your videos, because listen, I'm the same way. I do some impromptu videos. I do some more planned out videos. I kind of do a mix. But do you think it's better with videos to have multiple points in your video, or is it better just to come out with like one like motivational message? Is it good to kind of do a spread? What are your kind of thoughts on creating a plan for your video and your outline?
I think it depends on how much time we're talking. On Reels right now, you only have 15 seconds. I find that I can do a list of 3 to 5 things. Now, I don't know if I could fit that in if I was using my voice on Reels in 15 seconds. I could do it in text bubbles. Maybe I've actually gotten away. I've done it. I think I had 6 points in one, and I did it with a voiceover, and then I just had video supporting each point, demonstrating. But I also find that series work really well. So if we're talking about TikTok and Reels right now, not IGTV, or actually it would work on that too. But if you have different parts, like a series about the same topic, now you've got more time to play with to flesh out that one point, but you're also telling your viewer, oh, she's got 5 more of these. Let me go back and binge watch.
So that's really smart. Very, very effective on TikTok as well.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that pizza owner, right? Super simple. This is how we make the dough. Part 1. This is how we do the sauce. Part 2. This is how we throw the dough in the air and it lands on my chef's head, right? I think having a mix of fun and the different episode numbers, I think is a really good thing. All right, cool. So look, we've covered a lot of different topics. Wow, guys, you got to go check her out at thisisvirginiakerr.com because she's going to give you all the tools to be successful on video. And let's face it, video is changing and it needs to be part of your content model, your strategy model. So let's kind of back it up to the very, very, very beginning, Virginia. I've never done video before. I'm scared of video. I don't have this fancy equipment, but I've got $100. What would you buy with $100 to make sure that your videos stand out?
I would get a ring light, and I'll show you this one. This guy is $30 on Amazon. He was my first ring light. Now he's cheap. So he's like, I think I'm on version number 3 now because the light burns out. But I like him because he's light. He fits in my tiny bathroom where I do a lot of my videos. I put him behind my monitor, so I've got light when I'm doing these things. But something. Now,
Mhm.
if I could choose, there's also $100. I've got a lot of ring lights. Some girls collect shoes. I collect ring lights. But I would definitely get a ring light, and then I would get a wireless microphone. Now this is gonna break our budget if you were to get this one right here. This is the Rode Wireless Go, but it's my favorite, and I really like wireless microphones because it's so nice not to be tethered to your phone when you're shooting. And by the way, I shoot on a phone. I have a fancy camera and I don't even use it. But you don't have to spend that kind of money on a wireless mic. There are other ones on Amazon that are cheaper. I don't know what the quality would be, but Rode is very nice quality.
Super
That's
smart.
what I would get. Yeah.
Super smart. Sound better, look better. I mean, for less than $100. I love those quick takeaways here, Virginia. Now, when we talk about looking better, this is something that obviously is top of mind for a lot of people. What would be your top 3 tips for someone that wants to look better on video? What can we do?
Well, definitely put the ring light in front of your face, or any light. Natural light's beautiful, but don't have the window behind you. Make sure you're facing the window. So you want that on you. That's going to be the biggest change as far as making yourself look better. You want to frame yourself the right way so that you take command of the screen. I can't tell you how many times I see people who have like this much headroom that takes up 3/4 of the screen, and then their body's at the very bottom. It's distracting, and it literally makes you look small. It does not let you look like you are the authority and the big deal that you are. So you want to make sure you're framing yourself with just a little bit of headroom. I mean, right now, let's see if I was to do this right. Right now I've got about 1 inch between me and the top of the frame. And that's a good place to be. So usually that's going to be from the chest up or the waist up. And you can be full body too. And sometimes if you're showing things, that's going to fill the frame as well as you are. But you just don't want to look small and awkward, because if you're going to distract your viewer, you're going to lose your viewer, and that will distract your viewer. So that's one thing. And smile. I can't tell you how many people, they're so proud that they did that video, but they look so like there's so much pain or they look so mad because they have resting bitch face, or, you just need to smile a little bit. And I think that bring a little bit more energy to the table than you normally would. It's going to feel weird, but I tell people, you know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds? It also sucks about 25% of your personality out as well. So you just have to be a little bit more animated than you normally are so that it translates well.
Love it. Those are, I would say, probably my top takeaways too. One of the things though that I find about energy is, just like you said, some people go in with way too little, but other people go in with way too much. And to me, that's a turnoff too. When someone just, I'm scrolling and all of a sudden someone is like yelling and shouting at me, I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of tone it down. So, but I think it's a good thing to play with, and get constructive criticism. So that's another question I have for you, Virginia. That is one of the hardest things to get as creators, as video producers, podcasters. Getting constructive criticism is hard. Most people either say that sucks or that's good, right? But how can we actually get good constructive criticism so we can step up our game?
Well, you have to ask, and maybe you ask someone that you trust that you can handle it. If they say something that is not going to feel great, or just go on TikTok, because they have no problem letting you know what they do not like about you.
That's fair. That's fair. But take it with a grain of salt. I mean, this is something that I think that everyone needs to understand. When someone takes the time to watch your video and then go in the comments and bash you, the problem is not with you. The problem is with them.
Exactly.
You just have to feel sad for them. You have to feel sorry for them, because it's not a good way to live life.
It's so true. And I don't want to scare people. What I find is when your video goes viral, or you get a lot of views, it's gotten lost in the TikTok algorithm in that situation. And now it's being shown to people that it probably wasn't meant for, like the 16-year-old who really doesn't care about your business tips, so they have to say something snarky. So sometimes it's almost like, oh, this is the price I pay for having a good video that goes out to a lot of people. That's usually the case.
Love it. Love it. I want to talk a little bit about your course launch, Virginia, because now you've got this new course where you're actually teaching people how to be more effective. I mean, again, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, but video goes not only very wide, but very deep. But what are 3 things that you've learned throughout the launching of not only your first course, but now your relaunch of the second course? What are 3 things you've learned?
Well, my first course was not a digital product. This is
Okay.
my first digital product. And what I learned, I'm so glad that I decided to do this because I still have that reporter deadline thought process. And so if I don't have a hard deadline, I am going to sit around and wait until it's go time. And now I'm really stressed out. What I found to be really nice is that you don't have to launch with the entire thing ready to go. You can, but I think if I had waited until every single one of those videos was produced, I think my energy, going back to that, would have been so depleted that I would have lost all the enthusiasm to actually talk about it and promote it.
Mm.
So, but the other nice thing about that is now I can customize it, especially with Reels being launched, because there's a whole module on that.
Yeah.
Once we get to Reels, there's probably going to be more features available by the time we get to that on that week. So I'm dripping it to them each week right now.
I like that a lot because, like you mentioned, video is evolving very, very quickly, and Reels in 3 months might look a lot different than it looks today.
Right. And of course I can always, and I will always go back and redo the videos, update things. And what's nice is you get lifetime access. So you're going to get all the additional content that comes in the future. But as the owner, the creator of the course, take the pressure off of yourself and have 2-3 modules ready to go, but don't try to do, all 8 of them all at once, because I think that's going to cause you to delay your launch for a very long time.
Mm. And then the problem is by the time you're ready to launch it, well, now Instagram Reels has changed, and I got to go back and reshoot that. So I think that's a really, really great piece of advice there. Really, really smart. Listen, y'all, you got to check Virginia Kerr out. She's all over the place. Definitely on TikTok is where you can get some actual Listen, I know what you're doing. You're going on TikTok and you're just scrolling, and then an hour later you walk away with nothing. Virginia Kerr is going to help you out. So make sure you check out Virginia Kerr. I'll have some links below. And then you, of course, can get all the hot tips, takeaways on her website. This is virginiakerr.com. Cool. Virginia, I want to ask you a couple quick rapid fire questions because this is the world famous After Hours Entrepreneur, and we like to know this stuff. So let's start here. If you had 10 seconds with yourself 10 years ago, what would you say?
Oh, only 10 seconds.
You got 10 seconds.
Stop trying to impress everyone. You are designed to be a certain unique type of person. Be that person.
Love it. Love it. We already talked about best items that are for under $100. You got to get your ring light. You got to get your wireless mic. What would, if you had one business task that you could do for the day, what would you do?
I would create a video.
And which platform would you put it on?
I probably would put it in stories on Instagram.
Okay.
And here's why. Can I explain it? I know this is rapid fire.
Please.
I'm like I'm watering out the fire. So I would say when you have multiple platforms going on, I think of it as a way to create a funnel. And so you're attracting people on certain platforms and trying to get them to either another platform and then your website. And the way I've set it up is I'm funneling them to my Instagram account because I like all of Instagram's features. You can you can promote yourself on so many different areas of the app with different types of video and obviously written posts and pictures. And so I want anyone on any given day to be able to go to my Instagram and see a face-to-camera video in my stories, because I think that's one of the first places they check. They want to see who you are. They want to see if they like you enough to follow you or stick around and look at more of your content. So yes, an Instagram story, face-to-camera video.
Love it. Love it. And with Instagram stories, one of the problems I think a lot of people have is, well, it's only there for a few hours, 24 hours. Do you think it's important to create a highlight reel also so you can have
Absolutely.
them perpetuity? Yeah, I'm with you there.
And remember, there's archive. It automatically archives your story. So you can always use that content and put it on your feed later, or you can rerun it on a story on a day when I don't have time to do video. I'll just throw in a story from my archives.
So that's a huge time-saving takeaway there, Virginia. I appreciate that. That's a great one. Don't know what to do? Go to your archive, repost. Like, boom, gotcha. Love that. Love that. And I'm all about time efficiency. That's a great hot takeaway. Okay, cool. Virginia, last question here. If you had a billboard message that could reach millions and millions of people, what would you put on your billboard?
Share your story. We need to hear it.
Virginia said it. I agree with it. Virginia Kerr, thanks so much.
Thank you. Great questions.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed this episode. I got several other episodes right here for you. Smash one of these videos to make sure that you don't miss out on the tips, tools, and tactics of industry experts. Let's take that side hustle full time. Smash one of these links.